Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to be doing a fascinating interview today with the phenomenal, the incredible, the successful entrepreneur, Tom Patti. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. So stay tuned.
Good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me real good?
Clearly, Arthur. How are you today, brother?
I'm doing great and it's getting better each and every single day. How you doing?
Isn't that what we do every day in every way, better and better?
Absolutely, absolutely. Where are you calling in from?
So I'm in my office down in right in the heart of downtown Stockton, California. Do you know Stockton? Do you know where we are?
Is that a little ways from Bel Air?
So quite a ways from Bel Air.
Okay.
So we are east of San Francisco. We're south of Sacramento. We are right in the middle of the heartland of California. We're basically the breadbasket of the world. We produce San Joaquin Valley is the most productive and fertile farmland in the world. So we literally farm year round in this entire region. And then of course we have water ports, highway systems. We are a very modern area, of course, and we're a gateway to Silicon Valley. So you want to get to Yosemite, you want to get up to the Sierras, you're going to pass through this region.
Wow. So it's pretty warm out there in California right now.
Right now it is, yes.
Okay. All righty.
What part of you're in New York, right, Arthur?
I'm in Philadelphia.
Oh, Philly. Okay. Oh man, Philly, the city of brotherhood, man, brotherly love.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Where's your favorite cheesesteak?
Actually, you know what? I don't eat beef anymore. But
Really?
when I used to go to matter of fact, it's a cheesesteak, beautiful restaurant down in South Philly where they actually call it the Philly cheesesteak.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. I know I've been to Geno's, like that's considered one of the top ones, right?
Absolutely. And then right across the street from there, they have another cheesesteak business right there. So they actually both of them get a lot of business, especially around this time of year.
Good for them. Yep. Cheers. Cheers to them.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I told a great friend of mine about you. His name is Gordon. He's actually in your neck of the woods in California. Yeah. And he specializes in the private equity sector.
Oh, really?
He loves what you're doing, and especially as being a politician and being a supervisor in California. So he would love to see if y'all can do a conference call and see if y'all can actually create value for one another.
Hey, I look forward to that. I'm always open to ideas, listening, and learning. That's the most important. We got to continue to evolve, right?
Absolutely. I love what Warren Buffett says, the more you learn, the more you earn.
Isn't that the truth? Amen to that. Yep.
Absolutely. All righty. You ready to rock and roll?
Let's roll, my man. Let's roll. I'm so glad that I know we spoke briefly on the phone last week, but I was looking forward to this conversation. And spoke to Tyson yesterday, and he's told me to say, love. That's Mike's got that big word, man. He's just like love. He wants to give it, and he loves to get it.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I was looking at you and Mike Tyson's impressive resume, and it's amazing from what y'all actually did from your humble beginnings to where y'all are today.
One thing's true, and Arthur, you know this, and we all live lives that have meaning and purpose and strive to do more. And in some capacity, and of course, we can't not minimize the impact of a father, a baseball coach, a youth director, somebody in the clergy, somebody that could be a pastor. There's multiple mentors in our lives. I was very lucky to and through my dad, who Cus D'Amato had once trained along with Floyd Patterson, My dad and Floyd won the Golden Gloves together. So I had an opportunity to go live and train with Cus D'Amato. And this was leaving California. I was born in New York, but I left California after high school and lived for the next 5 years up in upstate New York and under Cus's tutelage. And Cus would say, not all my fighters become champions. But if you apply the same principles in life that you'll gain through this, and Cus was big on character development. So if you apply the same principles in life that you'll gain through this time spent with me, you can and will be successful no matter what the endeavor. So what do you learn through Cus? Hard work, sacrifice, discipline, of course, but then positive affirmation, creative visualization. Some people use hypnosis, self-hypnosis, meditation, different manners and different mechanisms that it takes to just keep rising to that better level. And Cus would peel away through discipline, through his own methodologies. He would just look to peel away, and this is as any coach, you just peel away those inhibitions, peel away some of those damages, as well intent as our parents may be. And I'm lucky and blessed to have the mother and father I had, but in many instances, people are raised in an environment where, as well intent as the family and or parent may be, oftentimes they can have some damages as just life and exposure can be. Again, I'm not saying that all parents will do that, but it's just a reality. Sometimes there's circumstances and situations, intent or not, that can inhibit a child's development. I mean, you could have a father that's a comedian and keep calling a child, "Hey, come on, you idiot!" You go, "What do you know, you idiot?" Or you're a real Dumbo. And while it's funny and everybody laughs, that may just be doing a little bit of damage to the psyche of that child. And again, it was never meant that way. It was just done in fun and jest. But a child could be more sensitive, some more than others. So Cus would just peel back those layers that could and may very well inhibit somebody's development and get you to the core of really, truly your most explosive, your most empowered, and your greatest level of potential.
Wow. That was a wealth of knowledge that you have grasped over the years. Now, to everyone that's listening and watching right now, follow the phenomenal Tom Patti. Now, I'm going to actually get into an in-depth interview with Tom Patti. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Arthur Robinson Jr. I'm the creator and host of the Powerful Interviews podcast. And today I have another special interview for each and every one of you. Today I have a wonderful person on the show, and he's a great friend of mine. His name is Tom Patti. For those that don't know Tom, let me explain to each and every one of you about this incredible, phenomenal man. Tom Patti is an American politician, supervisor of Sand County in California, and a 5-time state and Golden Gloves amateur champion. He is a friend of the great boxer Mike Tyson, and he was a great friend of the boxer trainer Cus D'Amato. And that is an awesome, impressive resume. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome the one, the only, the powerful Tom Patti to the show.
Oh man, Arthur, you make me feel so good. That just that erases all the political attacks that are lobbied at any given politician, just to make me feel good to be here with you. And I really appreciate you, and a lot of respect. I've done some research on you and this show and the empowerment that you've activated for your own life and for your community. And what I really respect is that you're reaching. You have words. You have a voice. And you're incorporating that to a bigger spectrum. So I really want to thank and appreciate you.
Well, I'd like to thank you, Tom, for taking time out of your busy schedule to educate me and the audience worldwide about your humble beginnings to where you are today and the life lessons that you learned from the great boxer trainer, Cus D'Amato. I gladly appreciate it.
Thank you, my friend. And honestly, I'm an open book. I'm open to any question, any subject. I'm very honest, sincere, and available. So I really appreciate and look forward to our conversation today.
Absolutely. Now, what I'd like to know, can you explain to the audience in layman's terms, who is the phenomenal Tom Patti? How long have you been in your powerful industry? And what is your expertise?
So, wow, that's a loaded question there. First off, I'm only as strong as in my position. I'm only as strong as the voice of the people that elect me. And really, Arthur, I go to places and they, oh, dignitaries, we in the audience, you stand up and you wave, and sometimes you're given a special seat of honor. But every time I get up to speak, I have to tell you that I recognize those that are in the audience, those that are engaged in the community, those that are the influencers that back the politician to have a position of participation in the decisions that will engage our community's future. So, you might micromanage things that are going on currently, but in reality, I believe our greatest responsibility is not status quo, because if you're staying the same, you're probably on the decline. For me, I want to work on improving the trajectory of where we're going. So as a local business owner, I had been involved with many local nonprofits, from Child Abuse Prevention Council to Marsha Dimes and on Delta College, local college foundation, nonprofit foundation, helping students with scholarships and such. So I saw that there's great need, and I was just volunteering. But how I got involved is Mike Tyson came to me and he enrolled me. He said, listen, Tommy, I'm here in Stockton. There's all this crime and #1 foreclosure in the nation. This is during the recession. And he's like, you got to get involved. You have to run for office. I'm like, what are you possibly talking about? I'm recently divorcing. I'm a single dad. And he's like, no, Tommy, your community needs you. You got to get involved. And it was interesting because Mike and I always talk politics and life and relationships, responsibilities, things like that. But he really saw that not only was the community in need, and it is, every community is, every community has challenges, but he saw that he saw something in me that needed to come forward to be involved. And so I was approached again by 2 or 3 more people about the same thing. And I decided to roll up my sleeves. Let's get involved, because us local business owners, operators, those of us from the private sector, we constantly deal with what politicians will decide, regulations, rules, and sometimes wonderful things, but sometimes impacting, sometimes damaging, sometimes decisions are made that put people out of business. So as a local business owner, I needed to be involved in my community, which has given me a voice for state politics. I was on the Builders Exchange. We represented almost 500 local contractor and different industry companies. And so I had a chance to speak on their behalf as an elected official. So I'm only as powerful as those that want a voice, because I'm there for them and speaking on behalf of common sense decisions and the things that can make a difference, so that we have a better, healthier tomorrow.
Wow. Now, Mike Tyson basically convinced you to basically move forward in the politics arena. And I know that you and Mike Tyson, y'all developed a strong bond, or should I say a brotherhood, throughout the years under, Cus D'Amato tutelage. What was it like to really develop a friendship with Mike Tyson, and what life lessons did you learn from Mike Tyson, and what life lessons did you learn from Cus D'Amato, where you incorporate that positivity into your own life?
Wow, that's, again, you got great questions, Arthur, and thank you. So lessons that you will learn is, #1 thing, as I mentioned earlier, is Cus stressed character. He really wanted to develop a person's character, and he'd say character, and I'll paraphrase, because Cus was very eloquent and highly intelligent, but Cus would say define character as that quality from within, that irrespective of the circumstances or situation or the difficulties at hand, that person rises to the occasion. That person has the strength and the fortitude. And he'd oftentimes equate and talk about the hero and the coward. And he'd say, when I first met him, he'd say, do you know the difference between a hero and a coward? And I'm sure at 17, 18 years old, I mumbled something and probably even said, I don't know, who knows? But he said, there is no difference. Not a single difference in the world in the way they feel. He'd say, It's what they do that will differentiate the two. He said, you see, a hero has the same exact fear and anxiety and concerns that the coward does, but in spite of and in the face of that adversity, the hero will rise to the occasion. And the coward will oftentimes run or cower. So you start to learn some of the psychological integrity and depth, and you start to challenge. And a lot of guys would come and go, and Cus would say, I'm going to judge you by your actions, not your words. You say, I'm going to be a fighter, I want to be here. And to tell you the truth, Arthur, one question hinged upon the reason if I was going to go upstate with Cus or not. He asked me, he says, why do you want to be a fighter? I said, Cus, I want to be middleweight champion of the world, and I think you can help me. He said, I'd like to meet you. Had I said, oh, I'm trying to figure out, try it out, make some money, I'm sorry, I'm not interested, and he'd hang up, which I'd seen him do subsequent to my time there. So Cus was about people that he wanted to be around, people that had the purest of interest. Money will be a reward, but it's too thin of a motivation. Money can be the result of your hard work and your sacrifice and your commitment, and it's that reward. But Cus wanted somebody that wanted to be the best, somebody that wants to be the best. They want to be the best irrespective of money. The accolades will come if you're the best, if you want to sacrifice and work hard. And a lot of guys would come up, they'd talk the talk, 2 weeks later, 2 days later, or 2 months later, they'd be gone. So Mike and I had a chance, and there were many other boys that were lived and trained, and we're all brothers to this day. In the end, Mike and I were Cus's last 2 proteges to be living and training with Cus in the house. But there were a lot of boys in the gym, and there were a lot of us. And so Mike and I worked with the same level of intensity. We had the same, we washed dishes side by side, we swept the floors, we took out the garbage, we took care of our house responsibilities. Camille was our mother. She was the loving, nurturing one that was very empathetic to the boys, but also she was a strong gal, and she was just a loving, warm heart for all of her boys. And Mike and I were 2 of her boys.
Wow. Now, Cus D'Amato, he basically wanted to surround himself around men that had the champion mindset, and they had a burning desire that they wanted to become something. So your habits create your character, and your character creates your destiny. Can you explain to the audience in layman's terms, what is the best advice that you have ever received on a personal level as well as on a professional level?
Boy, best advice. I'll tell you one of the greatest things I was ever told, and this is before I went to Cus. Everything in life is going to be a trade-off. You will sacrifice something in order to gain something else, and you have to constantly weigh that out. And so when you look at attributes, you ask me the things that I learned from Mike Tyson, things that you learn in life, is that life can, should, and probably always will be transformational. We start from young, we get to a teenager, to an adult, to a more senior. So that's transformational, and we should be learning, evolving. We should be challenging ourselves. We should, as you said, and Warren Buffett wisely says, if you're not learning, you're not earning. So you want to constantly be earning stripes, like in the military. If you've accomplished certain accolades, you get more and more stripes, and you go higher in rank. So when you see somebody that's grandfatherly, you'd want that person to have had a meaningful life, to be a sage, to be a patriarch of a family or a community, so that they can have some advice that they would share, because we all want, every one of us, not only should we have a meaningful life helping others, but by the time we leave, what was our mark? What was our calling? How do we make something better in our family, in the neighborhood? You could be in any capacity, whatever it may be. You can have a positive impact. And let me share with you, Arthur. I've read some different books, and there was one of them written. Pardon me for forgetting, but the author's name. But there's a book called Happiness Advantage. Okay, and in this book, they talk about people and mindset. Okay, and same exact careers. And there's three pathways that in regards to how a person views what they do for a living. Okay, there's a job, there's a career, and there's a calling. You can look at the people that, and they even talked and even stressed this through different vocations, and even went to a simple basic janitor. which is a wonderful job. I mean, I would, I grew up cleaning and taking care of and sweeping floors, and there's dignity in having a job, period. So I'm not judging, the scale, no matter what capacity, but there's those that were interviewed that consider what they do as a job. They get paid, they show up, and they do their job. There's those, hey, this is my career. I love coming into work, and this is what I want to do. And there's those that have that calling, say, I'm here taking care of our future. This is my greatest responsibility. This is my contribution to my community. It's to the future of our country. I want our kids healthy, safe. I want their environment clean. This is my calling. Those people that have that perspective, they found, is whether job, career, or calling, those that had the highest perception of what they do with meaning have lower hypertension, greater longevity, career advancement, and earned more money because it was all about their attitude. Same exact job. So if you learn that you can influence your future by the attitude, what you present, how you're perceived, what you emanate, it makes a big difference. And I'll finish with this, Arthur. Just the other day, I caught myself on the phone, and somebody, of course, a generality. Hey, how you doing? Good. Somebody, how you doing? Not too bad, right? And then blah blah blah. I say, wait. Not too bad. That's 2 negative words out of 3. And I say, when did I pick that up? Because I always preferred to be much more positive. So now when somebody asks, how you doing? Excellent. How you doing? How's your family? There's no question. I'm doing excellent every day because A, things could be worse. And B, tomorrow's a whole new fantastic opportunity. So I'm going to work hard for a good day today. And I'm looking forward to all the benefits that tomorrow is going to bring, because that's a new opportunity to do more. That's just positive. That's living in a positive realm that we create, because life is full of hardships and disappointments and sacrifice and commitment and things that didn't happen. And, no, I didn't become middleweight champion of the world, but I transformed to my next thing. And then I transformed to my next thing, so that instead of looking with regret, I'm transformational and be a little more fluid, like water. Go around the obstacle. Don't stay stuck butting against it.
Absolutely. You learned a lot of powerful life lessons, along your journey, and especially under the tutelage of Cus D'Amato. And I love those powerful business principles. Actually, that's what they pretty much are, which is, you say, job, career, and calling. And people really have to recognize and hone in on their calling and increase their skill sets. And I love providing hope to people, and hope stands for helping other people excel. And I love to help other people excel and to do extremely well. But positive affirmations is a great contribution to your mindset. If you wake up to negative and go to bed negative, you're going to become negative. There's just no way around it. But if you wake up to positivity and go to bed to positivity, you're going to be waking up to positivity, and you're going to move forward with having a productive day. So I live by that code. And I know the most successful entrepreneurs, they also live by that code. Now, it's not saying you're not going to have negative, bad days, but you have to eliminate the bad days and focus on the good days, because there's always brighter days after the darkness.
Amen. Now, Arthur, so let me play host for a second. So in the course of your life, have you been disappointed?
Absolutely.
In the course of your life, have you considered being depressed, or being in a funk, or being hit a brick wall?
Absolutely.
Right. But in spite of that, what'd you do?
I persevered and kept moving forward.
You cannot break. If somebody has a positive attitude and a positive spirit, that person can't be broken. Cus would say there's no greater travesty in life than watching another person quit. As that hit me, I'm like, whoa. I just recently read that quote from Cus, and I'm like, wow. And he was talking about boxing, fighters in the ring, and then he equated that to life. And he said that there's no greater travesty than watching a person give up. When that person's got an unyielding spirit, that one that just must persevere. And that's what I've watched with Tyson, is Mike will constantly, no matter, I'm telling you right now, if Mike said, you see that mountain, I'm going to move it. I'm telling you now, I bank on it. I would bank on it 100%. That man, I've seen him manifest and create, momentum and opportunity. And this is somebody that came from, some of the most desperate experiences and background and living in abandoned buildings and being exposed, as he would say. You know, he had a mother that was a drug addict, and he still to this day he's not really certain who his dad is. And so, you know, in circumstances and situations, and I mean, imagine when you're so bad as a child that at 10 years old you have a rap sheet so long that at 10 years old they put you in a reform school. They take you away from your mother. They take you out of your neighborhood. Think about those dark days and dark nights when you're without hope. You're without, and I can't speak of his mindset, because he clearly actually said he met Muhammad Ali and it gave him, I'm going to be somebody. That gave him a spark of light. It's like, I'm going to do that. I want to be great like that. And Mike attributes Ali for that, being that spark in his life. But like you, like me, there's darkness, and you know, you get people that want to commit suicide. You get people that give up, and that's not it's not our purpose. We are not defeatists. We are a species that can, even in spite of adversity, in spite of the challenges, we are a species that has reached above and beyond where we are as we look to forge new frontiers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, life is how you create it, and life is how you make it. And I think that as long as we existing on this beautiful earth, I think life is like an experiment. Like what you were saying earlier, you go through different transformations and you constantly reinventing yourself, you know, through your 20s, your 30s, 40s, and your 50s and beyond. And as long as you are living, you can always change your life and turn it around to the next level. And it's always good to give back to others and bring them up as well. You know, so it's all about what's your life purpose, what's your calling. And as long as you can provide undeniable value to people's lives, you're going to have a major impact, and you're going to be around for a long, long time, because, you know, success is definitely a blessing.
Yep, I agree completely. And you've learned your life lessons. And Arthur, we all have things we could have done different, things we could have done better, things we'd rather not have said, things we'd rather not have done. But as long as you're learning, as long as we're growing, as long as we're going to create a better tomorrow in our lives, our families' lives, our friends' lives, our communities' lives, then we have a meaningful, purpose-filled life.
Absolutely. I agree with you. Earlier, you talked about money. Now let's have a conversation about money. Now I know money is not value. Money is just a facilitator to do transactions. Can you explain to the audience, how would you define money?
Well, that's a great question, because a lot of people, there's obviously a need and a focus on it, because it creates value. If you're offering something meaningful and of value, and another party is willing to pay you for that, then you're being compensated justly, whatever your negotiated values and exchange of services could be. So I believe in that. I believe in the exchange of value. Money empowers you, and it should be utilized to live the quality of life you want, I believe. So when I talk to kids about school, when I talk to kids about their future and careers, I said, decide which kind of lifestyle you want and figure out what people are doing to have that lifestyle and go do it. So the Will Smith movie that he played the fellow that was looking for a job. Oh gosh, what's the name?
The Pursuit of Happiness.
Pursuit of Happiness. Oh, what an amazing movie. And I saw this guy in the interview, and what a great, you want to hug that guy. I'm Italian. You always want to give a guy a bit like that, a big hug. And he said, I was walking down the street, there's a guy in a Ferrari, and he says, I'm sorry, excuse me, sir, I got two questions. What do you do and how do I do it? And so now this guy, the Will Smith character, pardon my memory for the actual person, but the Will Smith character is the reality is this guy was looking for more, striving, a baby on the way, or he had a son and a wife he's trying to take care of and provide for, and he's reaching, he wants more. So he sees somebody driving a nice car. It's like, what do you do and how do I do it? The guy says, I'm a stockbroker, go get your license. And so, wanting a better lifestyle and finding out with somebody how somebody did it. And so I believe that you do what you have to do so that you can do what you want to do. And that's what we should do for a living. So a job is a job. I think the greatest fallacy is do what you love and you'll never work a day of your life. Well, I know people that say, oh my gosh, I followed that. I love music. It became a job. I hated it because it was something that I did as my kind of my passion, and it just became tedious and it wasn't, supporting the lifestyle I wanted. So I had to go back to school, and that's wonderful. That's fine. But, I believe it's not do what you love. It's love what you do. And you'll never work a day of your life. So when you mix that up, just a little difference in semantics, it dramatically changes what you might be choosing to do for a life. So we go back to that career, the job career or the calling. Okay, whatever you choose to do, you should do it with such passion, such love, that it's like I'm glad to be here every day doing my job. And it also allows me to go on vacation, pay for my car and gas and insurance and my family and my house, and contribute to the household along with my spouse and my partner, and raise my kids. And I'm also a baseball coach, or I coach volleyball. That you living the life that you want because you've made choices to empower yourself to have all the things that you want to have.
You said you made choices to empower yourself. So would you say that money is the byproduct of the value that you uncover?
Money is the reward for productivity, is kind of how I would narrow that down. Money is the reward for productivity. And I think there's a very dangerous populist movement here about socialism and the inequities that, there's, the capitalist system is so terrible, which is a complete fallacy, Arthur. There's nothing that's been more impacting. Nothing has lifted more people out of poverty generationally and globally than the capitalist free open market. When you start to look at your government for means of production and for means of control and production, you will completely stifle not only human spirit, you will stifle the quest for more. That some people are more driven than others. Some people are very happy doing a job and going 9 to 5 and paying their bills and taking care of their family. And there's some people like, I want more. I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to take a loan. I'm going to build a business. I'm going to take out, I'm going to leave this secure environment, and I'm going to go work hard to make something more because I want more. And that's fine. Just like there's some people that want a gold medal in the Olympics, and there's some people that are happy just running track and competing at a different level. When I was living with Tyson upstate, I might get up at 5:30, 6 in the morning and go for a run and start my physical activity. Guess what? At 3 and 4 a.m., I'm listening to Tyson work out above me. Now, I wanted it a lot. I walked the walk. I didn't just talk. I was walking the walk. I was sacrificing. I was committing. I left a girlfriend. I left business opportunities. I left everything in my life to go live in a training camp like a Spartan and dedicate 7 days a week, year round, nonstop. But no matter how hard I worked, Tyson worked that much harder. And that's a reality. And you have to appreciate that. I'm not jealous of his success, and he made millions and lost money along the way, and fame and fortune and all things came his way. He worked hard to get it. A government doesn't just give you the gold medal. A government doesn't just decide who deserves and needs or can equally distribute, because what happens in that type of system is very simple. Those on the top control all of the wealth and they prosper, and those below are given just the basic needs, just what's enough for everybody, just what's fair. And it ends up being not fair, because there's those with limousine and there's those without. I want everybody to have an opportunity to live the lifestyle they want, work as hard as they want, and accomplish more if they're willing to work harder.
Absolutely. Eventually you will get what you want when you help other people get what they want.
Amen.
And that's the whole mantra of becoming successful and, passing those golden gems and golden wisdom on to the next generation, because our children are our future benefactors.
Very true. Let me share real quick with you, Arthur, because there's this, again, this populist thought of the means of production should be controlled, the profits should be controlled by the worker. Well, I took out loans in hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy cranes, bigger cranes, and to do more. I made those phone calls, and I paid the money for marketing, and I built a company that was doing this, and I made it do this, okay, in time. And it was hard work. It was sacrifice. It was working 7 days a week. It was just what I needed to do because I wanted to build a company. Mm-hmm. And I had somebody that I knew from high school, ran into some trouble, spent over 15 years behind bars, got out. Now that person is my number one crane operator right now, okay? That person is now married, owns a home, and is able to live a productive, healthy, meaningful life, better than his station was when he first entered into my company, being released after 17 years. So not only is he honest and upstanding and a much better person than he was back in his 20s, teens and 20s when he got in trouble, but the idea that, well, he works for you, it's his profit, it's his money. You didn't do anything. You're taking advantage of people. That's, if you boil it down, just a little simple company. The reality is I took a risk, but I've given him the opportunity to live a better life by his participation, and he's a beneficiary of the risk and the investment that I got from others, and the risk I took to create this opportunity for him. So when you fault Amazon that, Bezos makes all the billions and the workers only make tens of thousands of dollars, well, those people are all able to put food in their refrigerator, drive a car, and provide for their family in whatever capacity. And you see that their rates are going higher, and there's, as the company becomes more profitable, they figure out their business model. They're seeing what they're able to do, and you don't overpay, and you don't want to underpay. You want to bring people into the market, and the market figures itself out. When people don't show up and you need to pay them more to show up, then you're going to have to pay them more to show up. That's just an equal, that's just the marketplace figuring itself out. So this thought that the government can fix this, the government will make everything equal, is a fallacy, and it's a false narrative. And it's being done by people that are power hungry. Because as altruistic as they may be, and they may be so benevolent and so fair, and they say socialism or communism will work if the right people do it, factually, the reality is there are some people in that system that will be more greedy than others, and they'll seize the opportunity. They'll eliminate the most benevolent of people to clear the way for their absolute control. And I'm going to finish with this thought. Do you know who one of the wealthiest people in the world is? Hugo Chavez's daughter from Venezuela, one of the wealthiest by hundreds of millions of dollars. If you took that hundreds of millions and spread it out to the millions of people who live in Venezuela, it would be $8, $10, $12, $15,000 per person. But all that money goes up to the top. That top got wealthy. It still wouldn't be enough for the people down below, but it was enough to make the top wealthy. That is communism. That is socialism.
Wow. This is an incredible interview, Tom, and I appreciate you coming on my show today, because the whole premise of my show is to educate entrepreneurs and business owners on a national, international scale, that they can live the life that they truly desire, but they have to be open to these important principles. So I don't like what I see what's on the news, so I create my own news.
I love it. Tell me, what was your sports growing up? What was a defining moment for you?
A defining moment for me, I love playing basketball, and actually I love playing football as well.
Yeah.
And we'll just play, in the neighborhood, and then we'll go to the field and just play, like rough tackle and things of that nature. But I was very, very good at it, but I didn't pursue it on a professional level. I just did it like in the neighborhood. But actually, we was actually just doing tournaments and just, really playing basketball and football against other people in the neighborhood. That's basically what I was doing, but I loved it. And actually, I still love it to this very day.
How about those friendships from those guys, right? You compete, you bring the best out in each other, you laugh, you joke, you have a rivalry, but in the end, you earn respect. How about that?
Absolutely. Respect is actually earned. And when you start developing, meaningful relationships throughout the years, those meaningful relationships can become, long-term friends. And you're gonna have people on the professional level, on the business level, and then people you grew up with. And then sometimes, in some cases, you can outgrow certain individuals because they still have the same
Oh
mindset
yeah.
as back in the 80s and the 90s, and you moving this way, moving forward, and they remain stagnant. So, unfortunately, you got to leave some people behind because, they're not trying to go to where you're actually want to get to in terms of the next level. But I still respect them, and I still wish them well. But a lot of those relationships I still have, and unfortunately, for some of the relationships that I had back then when I was growing up as a teenager, I don't have because I'm moving forward in my life in terms of being on a positive level instead of being on a negative level.
Amen, Arthur. Amen to that. Because there's people. It could be drugs. It could be attitude. It could be in things that they're getting involved in. It's like I got to separate from that. We need a little distance here because that's not where I want to be. And I respect that. One decision can alter the change in the course of somebody's life. You have to be very conscious and aware of our purpose, our ideas, and what you're willing to expose yourself to, because one bad decision can lead to a cavalcade of disaster and even be detrimental to your safety and your future.
You're right. I love what the great Napoleon Hill said in the book Think and Grow Rich: what the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve.
Yep.
So if you put in your mind you can do something and you have the dedication and the heart, you're definitely going to accomplish it. But if you put in your mind that you can't do something, then you won't.
So let me touch on something real quick. You said an important word, and I want to just grab this for a second because I know you know this, but relationships. People undermine that, that relationship, people that you know growing up, and not burning your bridge and being someone that's positive that people remember and that resonates for them. And I even tell my daughter in school, find the girl, even a boy, that is awkward, that people don't think are as popular, it's not very friendly. Make sure that person knows they have a friend. And she's done that, and she's helped a couple of kids in school really feel welcomed and be part of and be included. And it's, that's important. So that's just a little, parenting thing I'm proud of in my, challenges of being a parent and, doing it right at any given time and doing it wrong any given time, as that can be. But more importantly, those relationships in business. I've got a business that my father started 50 years ago. I bought 20 years ago, and I grew it. I doubled, tripled, quadrupled it. But I'm still working for people that my dad established relationships with 50 years ago.
Wow.
Their sons is generational, or maybe a new owner bought the company as it passes through time. But that's a relationship. If I was burning bridges and overcharging and irresponsible and late to the job for my crane business, then they move on. Because and think about this. Oh my gosh, I just want to get delve into this for a moment. All right. So right there in Pennsylvania, Papa Joe Paterno. I'm just going to summarize basically 50 years at Penn State, statues. Everybody, Papa, he's a legacy, he's a living icon. He's a legend, right? Overnight, the statues are gone. Why? Because years earlier, decades earlier, those that were most vulnerable were overlooked. And he made that mistake. And so you can build a reputation, a name for 50 years, and it's gone overnight. That's how fragile a relationship can be. That's how fragile and that's how valuable we need to place on making sure we keep our relationships healthy, calling people up, checking on them, how they're doing, how their business is. But those relationships can grow, can bring you wealth and opportunity. I have a friend of mine started a janitorial business. He now employs 350 people. He started off knocking on doors. I can clean your office building. Here's a quote. Well, that's competitive. I'll do it better. I'll do it better. Give you back, guaranteed. You name whatever it was his selling point. He dressed well. He presented himself well. He did a great job. It grew and grew and grew. Now he has, like I said, hundreds of employees. So that building of relationships is a phenomenal way to monetize your future by doing great service, great attitude, and overperforming. You never want to overpromise, underdeliver. You want to underdeliver and underpromise and overdeliver.
Absolutely. Well, I would like to add to what you said. Always say you want to overpromise and overdeliver.
Yes, there you go. Yes, set a high standard and a mark. I'll go with you on that. Absolutely.
Now, earlier you talked about socialism. Let's have a conversation about socialism. How do you feel about socialism versus capitalism? Now, I know capitalism basically means I own the land, I own the resources, and I use other people's labor to enrich myself. How do you really feel about socialism versus capitalism?
Well, here's the reality, okay? And let's digress for a minute and see if this answers, okay? If you remember President Barack Obama, who in many ways had a great opportunity, great communicator, and he was our leader, and he was my president. So back on the campaign trail, and this is where I kind of do a little different mentality than he had. All right, back on there was the Joe the plumber. If you guys remember Joe the plumber, who came out of obscurity, and Barack Obama is canvassing neighborhoods, and Joe the plumber said something to the effect of, listen, I want to be a business owner, but there's so many laws and regulations and so many taxes. It's not. I don't know that I could succeed. And without blinking an eye, Barack Obama says, the object is to take from you to give to those behind you. And that's very benevolent, to take from you to give to those behind you, because you have enough. You don't need more. You have enough. I want to take it from you and give to those behind you. What might be a way to interpret that? And I'm not saying that's what he meant or that's his mindset. I can't speak for our president and then candidate. But for me, if somebody was to say to me, and they have approached me and they've talked about it and they wanted to expand business, and by expanding business, it expands opportunity for others. And so if you said to me, the rules, the regulations, the taxes makes it so difficult, so listen, when I'm elected, I want to put together low interest loans so that first time business owners like you can get started. I want to put together a tax incentive base so that we scale taxes proportionately to the years in business, so that we want to help you get jump started. However, keep a sharp pencil, because we're going to be helping others get in business as well, and the strong survive. So the government can't control. We have a housing issue in California. And we need high density housing. We need different pathways and solutions to take care of homeless people. By waiting for the government to fix it, the problem's only exasperating. There is no entity. First off, the government doesn't generate dollars. The government generates bureaucracy, regulations, rules, and sometimes very healthy, very, very important structures and parameters and guidelines and safety protocols, so that we don't all die in an earthquake, or there's certain integrity in our infrastructure. So it's a valuable asset to have at our fingertips. But the business world needs to make decisions in microseconds. And when you take away a free thinker, when you take away a reward, I'm meeting somebody in an hour that's come up with a construction for high density housing, and honestly, it's pennies on the dollar in comparison to government funded programs for new construction. So it's that free market opportunity that causes him to sacrifice, work hard, dedicate, put his dollars into it. He could have bought a nicer car. He could have gone on vacation more often. Instead, he said, no, I have a higher idea. I have a higher purpose. I have a higher calling. And in order for our quality of life to improve individually and through a society, it's got to happen through the open market. The government would not have invented Amazon. It makes everybody's life that much better. You can order online and it's shipped to you without even leaving a door. You could be handicapped, you can be impaired, you could be injured, and something will be delivered to your doorstep that you would have had to get in a car, you would have had to ask somebody to bring you, or to go through whatever it was that you perhaps may not be able to do, that it's now on your doorstep. So that happened through government? No, that happened through a person with a vision and an idea. And did I believe in it? No, otherwise I would have bought the stock and I'd be a millionaire. So it's somebody had that idea, and in return, there's millions of people employed that are taking care of their family. There's some people that will go through entry level and finish in management level. Some people are happy at entry level, paying their bills and taking care of their responsibilities. And some people are like, I want to get more. This is great. When you interviewed me for a job, you asked me, where do I see myself in 5 years? I told you, I see myself sitting in your position. I want to be in the management training program. And it's like, you know what? You've shown you've got a good attitude. You're on time. You perform a great job duty. We look at all the evaluations. I'd like you to be in our management program. And that person can advance. I know a guy that started off as a delivery person in New Jersey. Domino's Pizza came to him and said, we're going to do something crazy. We're going to do Domino's in New York City, the pizza capital of America. That so everybody thinks, and like, we're just going to try this. And would you be interested? You start off as a delivery guy, and you're a nighttime manager, and you do this. But would you be interested in doing a franchise in Manhattan? Last time I knew the guy, 20 plus years ago, he owned several, and he was successful, very successful. So you have opportunities to enter and you have opportunities to advance, but that's not going to happen. I've been to Cuba, I've been to China. I know people that make $16 a month because that's all the government gives you, and they have no opportunity to advance. My first cab driver in Cuba was a heart surgeon, and he needed that job to actually make money so that the tourists can give him some tips. So he made money so he could provide for his family more than at the time was $11 or $12, $13, no more. That as a heart surgeon, he was paid by the Cuban government. So, it's on paper, it sounds great, it sounds benevolent, it sounds fair, but in reality, it destroys the human spirit of accomplishing and striving for more. And Arthur, let me just tell you, we just had Olympics. If everybody would arrived in Tokyo and said, okay, you all worked hard in your countries to be here, everybody gets a gold medal. Everybody go home, you're all winners.
Right.
Wait, what? Well, no. I want to set a world record. You don't have to. We gave you a gold medal. You earned it. You came here. You represented your country. Everybody's a winner here. It's automatic. You don't say, no. I want to compete. I want to actually prove to this guy I have a rival with, or this gal that I've worked hard for. I want to prove that I can excel. I want to prove that under pressure, in spite of my personal circumstances or situation or the pain I have or the injury I have, I want to prove that I can achieve more. No. You get a gold medal, you're fine. You don't get that chance.
Absolutely.
That's socialism. Socialism takes away the chance for the human spirit to thrive, excel, and achieve. Why is there high levels of alcoholism in communist nations? Because you've defeated the human spirit. And not everybody has the same spirit, Arthur. Not everybody has the same willingness to work harder, to sacrifice more, to risk life and death. Not everybody has that same willingness. You have to reward people that are willing to take that chance. And if there's a monetary value to it, so be it.
I agree with you. Spirituality means revenue generated, property acquired. So,
yes,
you have to look at the revenue that you're generating, which that's going to be coming from the help of other people to move your vision forward so they become your reality, and your property is acquired in regards to the real estate holdings that you own, as well as the real estate that you are currently living in, which that could be your own house or your estate or basically your mansion that you live in.
Correct.
So, wealth building principles is extremely important. And I always motivate people. I don't care if you was basically, starting out and you was basically getting food stamps, you was on welfare. But welfare spelled backwards means farewell to economic opportunity. So I always tell people, capitalize on your opportunities. And we all are expert at something. You could be an expert at cooking. You could be an expert at teaching. You could be an expert at, teaching kids on how to throw a football and how to catch that football. But you can actually take what you know and turn it into dough by taking your hobbies and turn them into phenomenal assets. So that's extremely important if you want to develop a wealth mindset. In order to become wealthy, it all starts with having a wealthy mind, not a polluted mind. Start with having a wealthy mind.
Yep. If you believe it's possible, it is possible. if you work hard and sacrifice. Now, listen, I'm not going, I was in the entertainment business for almost 15 years.
Wow.
And so I went from boxing to acting, and I did theater, TV. I wrote, I was part of. I sold a screenplay to Sony Studio, Paramount. Wrote and directed some theater. In fact, I was with Harvey Keitel a few years ago, and he came to see this play I wrote. He's like, "You still writing?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm writing all the time." He goes, "Yeah, you're a really talented writer. You got to keep going, man. Keep doing it." And I haven't. In reality, I've written a few things and sketches and poems and things, but nothing that you would turn into anything, because I'm too busy doing business. I was, it was by the time I bought my first business, I was almost 40 years old. I'm behind 15, 20 years in my book. So I wasn't able to monetize that career as much, and I made a shift. I gave up. I remember I told you it's a trade-off, right? So to pursue that, or to pursue boxing, I traded off certain things. Then it came to a point where I'm willing to say, like, no more to that business. I'm going to trade it off. I'm going to trade off this opportunity and pursue something else, because I want something different in life. If I want to get married or have children and have some security and maybe own a home, I was going to have to do that by making a change with what I was currently doing. And so I traded off that ambition, that goal, that desire, and probably that narcissistic pursuit. Go from boxing and wanting to be a champion, and being an actor, and receiving accolades, and being good at something. So it's, I'm sure there's a level of narcissism to it, but that wasn't my real goal. I didn't want to just be famous. I always wanted to influence. I wanted to be able to talk to kids and have them work hard and listen and make good choices. And I just had that desire since I was a little kid. And I always felt being a champion in boxing would give me that platform. It was interesting. So as a little kid, I always wanted that platform to influence others. And then so same thing in acting, I did that. And now as a politician, I have that opportunity to speak to youth, to mentor them, to talk and bring forward vocational job training programs so they can improve their lives. And I say, oh, listen, talking to you now, you guys have made choices to better your life. You've had some adversity, some challenges, but somebody here is going to be the future mayor, future county supervisor, future council member, future business owner, future employee. Let's help you empower yourself for a better future. We have vocational job training programs. We have this program. We have educate. We have a multitude of things that we can offer. And no matter what it is, I want to still do more to help more people. And so I appreciate the platform I have to do that.
I agree with you. And you're doing God's work. As the old saying goes, it says, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it takes a village to basically educate and raise an entrepreneur. So you learn in bits and pieces from, people from billionaires and hectomillionaires and decamillionaires and low millionaires, and you're incorporating all these different mindsets into your own mindset. And that's going to develop you to become better as an entrepreneur. Tom, let's have a conversation about what it takes to be an entrepreneur. Now, the word entrepreneur means entreprendre, and it was a Latin word. It was invented in the 15th century in France. And a gentleman by the name of John Baptist, he invented the word, and over 300 years later, that word still exists, which is entrepreneur. So entre means between, and pendre means to take. So it means to take lower productivity and increase it to higher productivity. Can you explain to the audience, how are you increasing your productivity in your current businesses?
Great question. And I'm so excited to answer this for you. Okay. First, let me back up a little bit. My father was 13 years old, lived on his own, streets of New York, Lower East Side. A lot of his friends were getting involved in organized crime, even at early teenage years. And Cus D'Amato was his mentor. Cus went. My dad used to go to the Gramercy gym, but in the meantime, he pumped gas in a gas station, $5 a day. And I'm going to tell you something I think is a defining moment of how a person is going to conduct their life. As my dad's working, pumping gas, guy rides by in a convertible Cadillac, top down, beautiful gal sitting next to him. And my dad, now I know people, I've had nice cars. I've been out of town where nobody knows me on planet Earth. I park away, didn't get a door ding, not bothering anybody, not taking up 4 parking spots. And I'll come back and like, why would somebody spit on my car?
Mm.
Why would somebody throw a piece of garbage on my car? I didn't cut anybody off. I didn't do anything on the road to cause anybody to be upset. Completely, just no reason at all. Somebody had some spite to me driving a nice car. It just, that's the way human nature might be. Well, my dad sees that person drive by in a car with a nice looking gal sitting next to him. He says, you know, I'm going to work hard. I'm going to save my money. And one day that's going to be me. Flash forward 9 years later, he's sitting in the car with my mom sitting next to him. He's got a convertible Plymouth and he's feeling like he's on top of the world. And he tells my mom, don't worry, I'm going to start a business. We're going to get married. I'm going to start a business and you'll never have to need for anything. I'm going to take care of us and our family. So he learned how to become, he learned a trade working on neon signs and he opened up a business. He borrowed $125 from one of his friends, Tony Roberts, who was a boxing friend, black friend of his, and they grew up in the boxing gym. And Tony said to my dad, I need to, I want to start a business. And Tony says, what do you need, Anthony? He goes, $125. $125? He goes, I'll get it for you. A week later, Tony Roberts and Tyson and I laughed like, where did Tony Roberts, come up from the ghetto with $125, right? Nobody knows. Back in, this is 1950-ish, So he gives my dad $125. My dad buys a truck for $60, buys a can of paint to paint the truck so it looks nice and clean, buys a ladder, buys himself some hand tools, and he starts knocking on doors. I can fix your sign. I can repaint your sign. I want it. And he would not, and he build that. He learned sales out of, was it natural born talent? No, he learned from rejection. He learned from action and doing it again. When you go out and do your audition for your first time, you're probably not going to do so well. When you do your audition on the 350th time, 10 years, 12 years, 15 years later, you're an overnight success. So it just takes, it's that attrition and that's hunger. And actually, I'll finish with this. He had a partner. And he's like, yeah, let's work together. We'll do this and we'll accomplish that and blah, blah, blah. And the guys, about halfway through the days, I think we've done it. No, why don't we go over here and work on the street? I was like, nah, we've done enough today. Let's go to the bar and have a drink. Like 1 or 2 days of that, my dad's still hungry. He still wants to produce. And he wants to, create more. So by the end of the week, my dad realizes this guy is not going to work as hard as I am. I'm not going to knock on more doors and create more opportunity. And this guy wants to go to the bar every day and think that we've done enough today. So my dad doubled his effort, worked harder, borrowed the money he needed, and created his opportunity to build a company. Started it in New York, sold it when I was 7 years old. We moved out to California. He didn't know 3 people in Stockton, city of 100,000 at the time. He knocked on doors and created a new business. 10 years later, he had 25 employees.
Wow.
And a fleet of trucks and cranes and signs, whatever. He never ended his quest and hunger to do more for others in business, to expand his business. Once a week, or not once a week, once a month or so, we could afford to go out to dinner. And we had nothing, and as many people, I don't know too many people born of privilege. So we would go out and he would ride down the street. No matter when we were out at night, he'd ride down the street, he'd pull over, write down the name, or my mother would write the name of a sign that had outage, a sign that needed repairs, something that had, something that could be fixed in the sign business. And come Monday morning, my dad was making those phone calls and he was creating new customers. So what's it take to be an entrepreneur? You have to be hungry for more. And you have to empower yourself to get there.
I agree with you. Your dad basically, he persevered and he kept reinventing himself over the years, and he found out what works in his sector and what didn't work in his sector. And he basically just cornered the market, with his business. And then he helped other people to get there. And then people actually just connected to his spirituality, and they seen the hunger in him, and then they decided to take his business and move it forward so it can flourish.
Yep.
So that's basically developing a champion mindset. And what you and Mike Tyson has done over the years, y'all basically transform to what y'all doing today, where y'all are impacting people. Y'all are really changing the mindsets of people from negative thinking to take action thinking. And like what you said earlier, it's always good to say to yourself positive affirmations. That's why I don't look at the news, because the news product is basically negativity. Every time you turn on the news, all you see is rape, pillage, plunder, recession, depression. You're getting dumped with negativity. But what people should be putting into their mental garden is positivity. Information with people who are doing well, information with people who are not dwelling on tragedy, but more on success.
I agree completely on everything you just said. And it's you don't want that negative anything. And it's interesting, every single day, if you open the newspaper, you will be equally impressed and disappointed in humanity.
Absolutely.
So let's focus on the impressive part and get away from, we want to be educated, we want to be aware, but every travesty and every car accident or shooting, which is tragic as it may be, is a weight and a burden. There are threats, there are risks out there. Let's live a positive, productive life and work on things in your realm of influence, than more so than worrying about the burdens of the ills throughout society.
Now, Tom, I seen you and Mike Tyson on an impressive show, which was Michael Francis podcast show, and I interviewed Michael Francis as well. How did y'all actually get on that show, and how did y'all develop a relationship with the phenomenal Michael Francis?
So Michael Francis, who is another one of these gentlemen that's gone through life and transformed from where he began and what he was doing to a new way, and he's reaped those rewards. So I have a lot of respect for him. I had an opportunity. He came to Stockton. We have a prayer breakfast every year, and he was the guest speaker. And I had an opportunity to speak and spend a little one-on-one time. And a lot of his past life was familiar to me through the people my dad grew up around. My dad never got involved, but he grew up around them. So we knew a lot of the same people. So if I mentioned a couple names, my uncle this and my cousin that, they were all friends and associates to Mr. Francese. And so we just developed a little, we're both New Yorkers, we're both Italian. So there's a little, friendship and kinship, if you will. New Yorkers, we like to think we march at our own beat, just like, those from Philly, the brotherly love, everybody has their own, every city has its own indelible impressions. So I'm proud to be a New Yorker, equally proud to be a California influence and a native California, a son of California. So we just had this opportunity to connect and speak. And then, of course, knowing Mike in conversation, and Mike has met him as well. So we had a chance to do a couple dinners and a couple get-togethers. And then it was, he got his podcast going, and we worked on scheduling a time for us to get together and chat. And I was laughing afterwards. I said, you two kids from Brooklyn, you're lucky I was the adult in the room to keep you guys a little grounded. They would have gabbed and laughed and giggled and talked about things from the neighborhood and New York and their experiences for hours. I was kind of there to bring some things home, or surmise some things we talked about. But it was just great spending. Both Mikes are very intelligent. And sometimes that's surprising when I talk about Mike Tyson, Mike Francese as well. But Tyson's highly intelligent, photographic memory, very well read. You talk to Tyson about life, politics, religion, human nature, history. He's got a memory, and he has a perspective, and he has a depth to his perceptions, his analysis, his understanding. People are amazed when after spending time with him, like, whoa, this guy's a lot smarter than they would have thought when you judge them through the boxing world.
Absolutely. I checked out a lot of his podcasts, and he basically is like a locomotive. He just keeps hammering you with the right questions. And I see the results, and the people that he's interviewed, they really be shocked with the questions that Mike asks, but he's just so in depth, and then what he has endured, throughout his career. And he's basically just became a podcaster now, and a motivational speaker. When you actually have a conversation with Mike Tyson, you just really look in his mindset, and that he really focuses really in on, creativity and bringing the best out of other people, which that's very exceptional.
True. Mike really looks at himself a lot more as much more of a sage and a mentor in a lot of people, and he wants to help people more. He wants to have a meaningful life, and obviously he did many things for himself, which some would interpret as narcissistic. But Mike forged forward in life and created an identity, created opportunity, created recognition, and now he wants to do more with that than have nice cars. He wants to do more to help others, and that's a powerful platform.
Tom, I wrote down some powerful words, 10 being the highest and 1 being the lowest, so you can rate them in your own influential way. Are you ready?
Sure, bring it on, brother.
Perseverance.
10.
Family.
Oh, 10.
Love.
10.
Intellectual property.
10.
Health.
10.
Wealth.
Wow, how do you define wealth? Is it only monetary, or is, by being surrounded by the aforementioned, so when you're surrounded by family and you're surrounded by love, I mean, that's a wealth. So I think both, any spectrum of wealth is valuable and important. So I would give it a 10.
Building great relationships.
10.
Financial literacy.
Financial literacy, I'll give that one an 8.
Legacy.
5.
Energy.
10.
President Joe Biden.
10.
Former President Donald Trump.
10.
Impact.
Impact. 10.
Value.
10.
Integrity.
10.
Happiness.
It's fleeting, brother, but it's enjoy it when it's there. I'll give it a 10.
God.
10.
Creativity.
8.
All right, that was good. That was real good, Tom.
And easy, Arthur, those are so many, there's such a plethora and depth to what you offered. You could easily say 10 and get away with it, but you really want to look at some of those that I gave a little bit lower. Not that they're insignificant in life, but financial literacy, for instance. My dad was 13 years old. Did he have financial literacy? No, but he succeeded, finished his life from poverty into middle class. So was he literate at it? No, he was just driven. So I kind of fudged a little bit on some of these, and some people that politically, some might support or some might oppose. You have to appreciate those that step into the arena. You have to appreciate those that expose themselves and open up and try for better. Whether you agree or disagree in the way they communicate or whatever, how you feel about them, you have to give respect and regard to those that they're there trying to make a difference. Now, you'll be judged in history when, decades from now, when people look back and reflect and they say like, well, this person did it for their own personal gain, or this person did it and what they did was to the benefit of a community. And that, Arthur, as my position, we say a silent prayer every meeting, and I'm privileged to be chairman this year, but I always ask, and I have always asked, that bless those in this chamber that are making decisions and give us the guidance and clarity to make decisions to the benefit of our community.
Tom, can you explain to the audience exactly where they can find you?
San Joaquin, California, brother. I'm everywhere. Gosh, I'm working on doing a website and things, and I'm doing, honestly, I'll tell you, Arthur, we're doing a couple of fundraisers. Mike's going to help me on October 2nd. We're going to do a fundraiser, Tom Patti Exploratory Committee for U.S. Congress. So I have the privilege of being county supervisor, and I'm here for the next 3.5 years. If I have an opportunity to serve my community at a higher level, That may work out. If not, I continue right here locally. So, but at Mike's urging, we want to perhaps explore, engage with the community, and talk about the issues that may be an opportunity and a calling to do a bit more at the next level.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have people in my network where they're successful entrepreneurs and business owners. And, some of them are actually employees where they're making, 6, 7 figures as well.
Mhm.
And, you know, it's ironic with, they have their heart sets on, landing that corporate job. But unfortunately, they actually give the opportunity to someone else. And I always say, listen, when you go for a job interview, you're basically trying to convince them why they should hire you. So, for example, when you go to the job interview, you have to be confident and, just say, look, for example, my name is Arthur Robinson Jr. I know I can be a great asset to your company, and this is the value I can add to you and to your bottom line. And I would like to get paid on performance, not hourly or salary. I like to get paid on performance on what I can perform for you and your company.
Mhm.
Now, if you go in there with that type of mindset, they're going to look at you a little differently than everybody else is going into that job interview with the mindset of hoping that they'll get hired. So, I always tell people, what type of contribution can you add to people's businesses, and how can you be a great asset to them as well as to their bottom line, which you can increase their top line revenue, which their revenue is increasing, they're generating profit, and then actually that business owner is actually going to look out for their employees.
Mhm.
So that's extremely important when you want to become wealthy and you want to be a value creator. Like Tom, you are a value creator. Mike Tyson is a value creator. I'm a value creator. And there's a lot of successful entrepreneurs that are value creators. So, you're taking your creativity and you actually are broadcasting it to the world. And then when people can gravitate towards that creativity, then you're going to be in business for a long time because people look at you as a value add to their lives.
Very, very true, Arthur. And I appreciate that, again, where you started in your life,
Mhm.
what you've realized, what you've manifested, and the future, the present that you've created, and the future that you're going to accomplish is a tribute and a testament to that. And I really respect and appreciate you. And it's been an honor, speaking with you, buddy. And again, city of brotherly love. When I see you being Italian, we're gonna give some hugs, brother.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's strength in numbers, and I'm all about, the power of collaboration.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. I do know I have a couple of meetings going on, but how about this? If I make an official announcement, perhaps you'd entertain having me back on the show.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. I would love to have you back on the show so we can get more in depth about, wealth building principles. And I would love to interview you and the phenomenal Mike Tyson on your relationships that y'all developed throughout the years.
Cool. We can make that happen. And we're going to be October 2nd in Beverly Hills doing a fundraiser. My friend John Lovitz and Mike, I've known both of them, Mike for, 40 years, 39,
Mm,
40 years. And then we've got our friend John Lovitz, who I've been friends with for 35 plus years.
mm,
Yeah, so it's gonna be great that we're doing a community gathering, talk about issues in the state of California. We need water, our infrastructure, forest management, again, vocational training, creating job opportunities for our next generation.
mm. And
Do
when
you
is
know,
that
just
taking place?
I'll finish with this, Arthur, real quick. In the next 10 to 12 years,
Mm,
50% of our workforce is retiring, and we do not have an adequate pipeline to fill that. Those mom and pop shops, those businesses, the business I started with, that I took from my dad, I'm going to sell that to somebody one day.
mm,
There are opportunities everywhere. You could be a tradesman and make as much or more money, way more money than people with a bachelor's degree.
mm.
So we really need to exalt the value. And we talked about if you're paid, you're fairly compensated or not. If you went back in time, welders would probably be paid, let's say $20 an hour. Now they're
Mhm.
getting 40 and 60 bucks an hour. Why? Because they weren't there. They're in higher demand. So the market adjusts, they pay them up. So there's welders, one of the most sought after vocations right now, being paid over $100,000 a year
Mm.
to perform welding. And they're union jobs. You get benefits. You got retirement. You got all these great attributes to having a very respectful career, man or woman. You could be a certified welder in months. Forget about years of college. By the time somebody graduates college, not only do they have debt, but their career is just beginning. You could be a 4-year welder for 4 years, have already earned several $100,000, and you're paying down your first house. Probably
Mm.
5 years later, you got enough equity to buy your second house and use it as a rental. 5 years
Mhm.
after that, do another one and another one and another one. You're building wealth from an honorable trade. And that goes for plumbing, electrical, HVAC. There's so many opportunities out there. So that these are the types of things as a small business owner and as a politician, I realize, and we can do more for others.
Absolutely. And y'all, now you're actually doing the fundraising in October the 2nd, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. And what day does that fall on?
It's a Saturday. We're going to be in Beverly Hills.
Okay. And where is it going to take place at again?
So it's in the evening, 6 p.m. till about 9:30 in Beverly Hills on Cannon. We've got a building that a friend of mine owns. He said, hey, come, let's do a little community party right here.
Oh, absolutely. Well, let me know, and I would love to participate in that. And the gentleman that I want to introduce you to, Gordon, he's actually in California, so we can
Okay.
definitely come there and make that happen.
Oh, let's do that. And we'll interview. If you want to do a live interview with Tyson, we can do it.
Okay, no, absolutely, no problem.
Okay. I'll send you some information on that, Arthur. I appreciate it. Listen, you're going to get that Italian hug, brother. Come on out.
I'm definitely going to come out. And actually, that's another 2 weeks, right?
Couple of weeks. Yeah. 2 weeks from this Saturday.
Okay. All right. I'm definitely gonna come through and I'm gonna tell Gordon about it. But
Okay.
me and you and Gordon going to definitely dialogue because I know that he can actually create a lot of value to what you're doing, and you can actually also create value for him to what he's doing as well.
Let's do it. It's going to be a great gathering and we'll share more. I'll send you the invitations and such. And I wish I had all the shortcuts and the tech. I'm not very tech savvy. I just work hard and I make good things happen.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Good things happen to good people.
And likewise, brother. So I'm going to see you soon. I know I'm going to run to my next meeting.
Mhm.
I appreciate this conversation. I look forward to our friendship, not only continuing, but flourishing, and anything I can do with and for you. 100%. I really respect and appreciate you.
Oh, and I respect and appreciate you, Tom. And I got to get you coming back on my platform, and so we could talk more in depth about wealth building principles and how we can change the mindsets of the next entrepreneurs that is coming up.
Let's do it. And remember that book, Happiness Advantage. I'll have a copy next time. I give it out to so many people. I think I gave out my last copy. There's a book called Happiness Advantage, written by a Harvard, used to be a student, then he became a professor. He's met and encountered thousands of students, and he really surmises a gateway to having a successful, happy life.
Mm. To everyone that's listening and watching right now, I highly recommend get involved with the phenomenal Tam Patti. Hear the passion that came through his voice on my show today. He broke down layman's terms about the power of relationships, and he also broke down layman's terms about developing a champion mindset. Follow the principles what Tom has revealed on the show today, and follow the principle that he's learned from the great Cus D'Amato. So to everyone that is listening and watching right now, remember that the strongest asset that each and every one of you have is your brain, and what you think about and what you take action on that will become your reality, and your mentality creates your reality. May God bless each and every one of you, and bye for now. Thank you, Tom. I really appreciate you conveying value to my audience.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you and your audience and those that are listening to live and have a better life. You are just an amazing voice and a strong influence, and it's been my honor to spend time with you.
Well, I appreciate you, Tom, and you definitely are a gift from God. Until the next time, to everyone that's listening and watching right now, I highly recommend get involved with the phenomenal Tom Patti. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm going to be publishing more underground, undeniable, valuable content that's going to take your mindset and your heart to the next level. And bye for now. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. Cheers.